Have you ever stood in a place so still that even the air feels like it's holding its breath? Welcome to Alaska, a land carved by glaciers, painted with endless snowfields and wrapped in a silence so deep it feels almost sacred. Here, winter isn't a season, it's the default setting. Trees creak under the weight of frost, rivers vanish beneath ice. The sun hangs low, casting long blue shadows that stretch for miles. And yet, something moves. High above the frozen treetops, skimming across black water, watching from the edge of a snowy ridge. In this kingdom of silence, there are voices, wings, eyes, spirits. Some of them are small and quiet, flashes of life darting through frostbitten branches. Others glide like ghosts, silent and slow, as if they remember a time before humans ever walked this land. They survive blizzards, hunt in total darkness, and vanish into the mist before your eyes can even adjust. They are not just birds, they are echoes of something older, something wilder. These are the spirits of ice, sky, and silence. And today, we're going to meet 15 of them. This bird looks like it fell out of a snowstorm and decided to stay. Perched motionless on a drift of powder, the snowy owl blends so perfectly with its surroundings, you might mistake it for a clump of snow. Until it turns its head, slowly, silently, and looks directly at you, with those glowing yellow eyes, like it's reading your thoughts and judging you, just a little. Covered head to talon in thick white feathers, the snowy owl isn't just surviving the Arctic, it's built for it. Those feathers aren't just for looks, they insulate the bird in temperatures that can drop to 40 below. Even the legs are feathered, like a bird wearing built-in snow pants. But don't let the angelic appearance fool you. This is a predator, a silent flying snow blender of doom. It hunts mostly at dawn and dusk, scanning the frozen tundra for small mammals like lemmings, and when it spots one, it glides in without a sound. Not a whisper, not a wing beat, just gone. What makes the snowy owl even more fascinating? It's diurnal. Yeah, unlike most owls, it's active during the day. That basically makes it the extrovert of the owl world. While its cousins are hooting in the shadows, this one's basking in the pale Arctic sun, scanning the horizon like a feathery watchtower. And when the food runs out, it moves. Fast. Snowy owls are known for sudden, mass migrations. They've been spotted thousands of miles south, even in Texas. Imagine walking out of your Walgreens and seeing a snowy owl on a lamppost. It's happened. Fun fact, during breeding season, one snowy owl family can eat over 1,600 lemmings. That's not a diet, that's a lemming apocalypse. So tell me this, if you spotted a snowy owl in the wild, what's the first thing you'd say out loud? Drop it in the comments, full sentence, no emojis. Let's see who has the best owl meets human moment. If the snowy owl is the ghost of the tundra, this next bird is the night. The Juror Falcon. Big, powerful, and fast. Imagine a falcon on steroids. Wearing a winter coat, this is the largest falcon in the world, and Alaska is one of the few places wild enough to call it home. It flies low and fast over the open tundra, not with stealth like an owl, but with sheer force. When it locks eyes on a ptarmigan or duck, it doesn't wait. It charges through the sky like a medieval missile. And when it hits, it's not gentle. This is a bird that hunts with impact. Juror falcons don't just catch prey, they punch it out of the air. Think of it like the linebacker of the Arctic sky. But don't let the muscle fool you. This bird is a rare beauty. Its plumage ranges from snowy white to charcoal gray, often speckled like frost on granite. Every individual looks a little different, like nature's limited edition run. And they're notoriously hard to find. Even seasoned birders have gone years, decades, without spotting one in the wild. You don't see a Juror Falcon, you earn it. Fun fact, in medieval Europe, the Juror Falcon was reserved for royalty. Only kings could hunt with one. So if you ever do see one in the wild, just know, you've just been knighted by the Arctic. Quick question, if you had to give this bird a royal title, what would you call it? Drop your best name in the comments. Be creative. King, knight, sorcerer, whatever fits. In Alaska, silence is everywhere. But sometimes it talks back. And when it does, it often sounds like this, a low, raspy crack echoing across the trees. That's not just any bird. That's the common raven, which ironically is anything but common up here. It's bold, brilliant, and more mysterious than most birds dare to be. With feathers so black they shimmer blue in the right light, this bird doesn't fly. It glides with the arrogance of something that knows it was here before you, and will be here long after. In fact, in Alaska's indigenous legends, the raven isn't just a bird, it's the creator, a trickster god, a shapeshifter. In some stories, it brought light to the world. In others, it brought chaos. Either way, this bird has lore and brain power. Ravens are crazy smart, capable of solving puzzles, mimicking human speech, even remembering people's faces. If you tick one off, it might literally hold a grudge, like a feathered version of Liam Neeson. And it has a very specific set of skills. You'll see them soaring along highway edges, waiting for carrion, playing mid-air games with each other just for fun. That's right, they play. Not for food, not for mating, just because they can. Fun fact, ravens have been observed sliding down snowy rooftops repeatedly, like kids on a sled. So here's a thought. If you had a raven hanging around your house for a week, what do you think it would try to steal first? Leave your best guess in the comments. Make it weird. That's what the raven would want. You don't see this bird first, you hear it. A long, eerie call that rises over still water. Half whale song, half ghost story. It cuts through the mist like a memory you forgot you had. That's the red-throated loon, and yes, it's a real bird. Though when you hear that sound, you might assume something supernatural is going on just offshore. The red-throated loon is smaller and slimmer than its cousins. Graceful, almost delicate. But there's something otherworldly about the way it moves. It floats low in the water, head tilted slightly up, neck long and smooth like a reed caught in the wind. Its red throat patch, glowing like a coal at dusk, called, only shows during breeding season. The rest of the time, it's gray, silver, misty, like fog made of feathers. And it loves places humans avoid. Remote tundra ponds, wind-blown lakes, somewhere between nowhere and almost Canada. And unlike other loons, this one can take off from land. That's rare. Most loons need a watery runway the length of a small airport. Not this one, just a sprint and a flap, and it's airborne. Fun fact, during migration, some red-throated loons fly from Arctic Alaska, all the way to the coast of Japan. That's right, Arctic Lake today, Tokyo Bay tomorrow. So here's my question, Ass. If you heard a sound like this echoing across a frozen lake, would you stay to investigate, or nope your way out of there? Be honest, Ass, leave your answer in the comments. Bonus points if you've got a campfire story to go with it. Imagine if a penguin and a toucan had a baby, and then raised it in a cave carved into a cliff of ice. That's basically the horned puffin. This little bird looks like it crash-landed out of a fantasy novel. Bright orange beak, jet black back, snow-white belly, and a tiny horn-shaped bump above each eye. Yep, horns. Not big ones, just enough to make you ask, is that bird wearing a helmet? It kind of is. Found mostly on rocky cliffs along Alaska's coast, the horned puffin spends most of its life doing one of three things: flying like a tiny, angry torpedo, diving into frigid ocean waters, or standing on a rock looking dramatically windswept. They're not huge, about the size of a football, but they've got presence, and they're surprisingly good swimmers. Using their wings like flippers, they fly underwater chasing fish, pulling off moves that make penguins jealous. But on land, absolute chaos. Puffins waddle, they trip, they faceplant. It's like watching a cartoon character try to walk home from leg day. And yet, they're fierce parents. Horned puffins nest in crevices between rocks, sometimes so deep that the adults have to crawl inside to feed their chick. Picture a puffin squeezing into a crack in the cliff like a feathery spelunker. Fun fact, their beaks are only that bright during mating season. Once summer's over, the colors fade. It's like they take off the makeup and go full winter mode. So here's your puffin prompt. If you had to give this bird a superhero name based on how it looks and how it moves, what would you call it? Drop your best name in the comments. Winner gets imaginary puffin wings. Some birds shout, this one hums. The varied thrush doesn't burst into song, it drifts into it. A single echoing note, drawn out like a foghorn lost in thought. It's the kind of sound that feels like it's searching for something, and maybe it is. You'll find this bird in the deep mossy forests of southern Alaska, standing still on a low branch, surrounded by rain-soaked silence. At first glance, it looks a bit like a robin in formal wear. Bright orange chest, slate gray back, and a bold black band across the chest, like a sash worn by someone very important at a ghostly woodland council. It's not flashy, it doesn't need to be. The forest stops for this bird. It moves with a kind of quiet confidence, hopping slowly across the forest floor, pausing often, like it's listening for secrets in the moss. And when it sings, it doesn't chirp. It releases single, haunting tones, each one slightly off pitch like the soundtrack to an old dream. There's nothing else quite like it. No riffs, no melodies, just space, sound, and silence again. Fun fact, during winter, varied thrushes sometimes migrate into suburban areas. One day you're walking to your mailbox in Oregon. Someone can seem as where is on, it seemed to greet them. Next thing you know, there's a mysterious forest bird on your lawn, which quite leading Oregon, staring at you like you're the intruder. So let me ask you this. If your life had a background song that played only when you were alone in the woods, would it sound peaceful or a little creepy? Describe your forest soundtrack in the comments. One sentence. Go weird if you want. If Batman were a bird, this might be it. The northern hawk owl looks like it showed up to the Arctic late at night and never left. Now the name already gives you a hint. It's an owl, but it hunts and flies like a hawk. It's got that classic owl face, round, serious, a little bit judgy, but then it takes off and suddenly it's a missile. Straight line speed, agile turns, eyes locked on target. And it doesn't just strike from above like a typical owl. Oh no, it perches way up in the treetops, scans the snowy forest below like a sniper, then launches in low and fast, like it's been watching too many nature documentaries and wants to be the dramatic finale. Unlike most owls, the northern hawk owl is active during the day, which makes it twice as creepy, because nothing says predator like a bird staring you down at noon in total silence. It doesn't hoot, it clicks, it whistles, it watches, and then it's gone. Back into the spruce trees, where you won't see it again unless it wants to be seen. Fun fact, this owl can detect and dive for prey under snow, just by sound. That's right, it doesn't need to see you. It just needs to hear the tiniest squeak. So here's your challenge. You get to name this owl's secret superhero identity. Cape, code name, the whole deal. Drop your idea in the comments. Best one? Let's just say the owl's watching. This duck is dressed for a party, in a river full of rocks and freezing whitewater. Meet the harlequin duck, arguably the fanciest bird in the coldest, roughest neighborhood. The males are straight-up fashion icons. Deep navy blue body, rust-colored flanks, crisp white stripes across the face and neck, like someone painted a racing helmet on a tuxedo. Honestly, he looks less like a duck and more like a collectible action figure. But don't let the good looks fool you. This bird lives where no duck wants to live. In fast-moving mountain streams, water crashing through rocks like nature's washing machine. While other ducks are floating lazily in a pond, the harlequin is dodging boulders like it owes the river money, and it loves it. This duck doesn't just tolerate chaos, it thrives in it. It dives underwater and paddles upstream, grabbing aquatic insects and crustaceans from between the stones like a tiny aquatic ninja. And when it's not feeding, it perches on slippery wet rocks, balancing like it's training for some duck version of the Winter Olympics. The harlequin duck is small, but bold, graceful, but chaotic. Think James Bond meets a garden gnome. Fun fact, harlequin ducks return to the same fast-moving stream every year. Not the same region, the same stream. They're loyal to the river, to the chaos. So here's your prompt. If you had to pick a theme song for this duck, something wild, fast, a little dramatic, what would it be? Drop your pick in the comments. I might have to make a playlist. Some birds eat berries, some eat bugs. This one hangs its prey on barbed wire. Meet the northern shrike, a bird so small and clean-looking, you'd never expect it to be Alaska's tiniest executioner. It's gray and white, neat, even cute at a glance. But under that polite exterior is a mind for murder. See, the northern shrike is what biologists call a songbird predator. It sings, it perches, it stabs. With a sharp, hooked beak, this little bird hunts mice, voles, insects, even other birds. But here's the twist. Shrikes don't have strong talons like hawks. So when they catch something too big to eat right away, they improvise. They impale their prey on thorns, barbed wire, or sharp twigs, like a tiny trophy rack in the tundra. Nature's most unsettling charcuterie board. And they don't just eat it right away, they leave it, let it age, come back later for seconds. They're patient, precise, and a little bit terrifying, but also fascinating. The northern shrike patrols lonely, open spaces, scanning for movement, striking fast, then disappearing again like nothing ever happened. It's not loud, it doesn't need to be. Fun fact, medieval Europeans used to call shrikes butcher birds. And honestly, they weren't wrong. So let's say you stumbled on one of these tiny trophy trees in the wild, little bones hanging on thorns in the snow. What would your first reaction be? Drop a sentence in the comments. Be honest. Would you be curious or walking the other way? You ever hear about a bird that lives in the shadow of glaciers and almost never lets itself be seen? That's not mythology. That's the Kittles Mur, a real bird that almost feels like a rumor. It's small, about the size of a pigeon, gray, mottled, quiet, nothing flashy. But here's the thing. This bird nests in some of the most remote, desolate places on Earth. Rocky, scree slopes beside melting glaciers. Not forests, not cliffs, just barren, wind-blasted tundra where almost nothing lives. It's like it chooses to exist at the edge of the world. Scientists used to go years without finding a single nest. No one even knew where they nested until the late 1990s. That's how good they are at disappearing. And now, as the glaciers melt, they're disappearing for real. Their population is declining fast, not because of predators or pollution, but because the icy places they depend on are vanishing. And if those glaciers go, so do they, like a ghost that only shows itself once and then never again. Fun fact, the Kittles Mur spends most of its life at sea, floating on open water miles from land, then comes inland just once a year to raise a single chick. It's like the bird version of a secret agent. So here's your question. If you could follow one of these birds for 24 hours, no GPS, no camera crew, just you and the bird, where do you think it would take you? Drop your theory in the comments. The weirder the answer, the better. Not every spirit of the north is loud. Some just whisper. Like the Boreal Chickity, it's small, soft-colored, easy to miss. No dramatic plumage, no icy stare. Just a fuzzy little bird with a brown cap and a raspy voice. Like a grandpa who stayed out in the cold too long. But don't underestimate it. This bird is tough. It stays put through the Alaskan winter. No migration, no vacation. Just -40 mornings and frozen pine needles. While bigger birds vanish south, the Boreal Chickity hangs back, fluttering through spruce forests like a tiny ember that refuses to go out. It survives by caching food in the bark of trees, seeds, insects, even bits of fat, remembering exactly where it stored each one. And when the snow buries everything, it returns to its secret pantry like a squirrel with wings. It doesn't sing elaborate songs, just a scratchy skeety-ski here and there, like it's checking in, still alive, still cold, still here. There's something kind of heroic about that, Not flashy, not famous, just persistent. Fun fact, despite its small brain, this bird can remember hundreds of food cache locations for weeks at a time. It's basically nature's most polite prepper. So tell me this, if your survival depended on stashing food all winter, what would your emergency snack be? Drop your favorite end-of-the-world food in the comments. Keep it weird. The chickadee would approve. Some birds own the sky. This one rules it with silence. The rough-legged hawk doesn't need to impress you. It just shows up, wings stretched wide, gliding over the open tundra like it's patrolling ancient territory. And in a way, it is. This bird breeds in the high Arctic, where wind never stops and trees don't even bother growing. It nests on cliffs and rocky outcrops, places that feel more myth than map. You'll recognize it by its long, elegant wings and those heavily feathered legs, like it's wearing fur-lined snow pants from another century. Its plumage ranges from soft cream to bold, dark brown patterns, and when it soars with the sun behind it, it looks almost ghostly. But don't let the grace distract you. This is a skilled predator. It hovers in place, wings flared, eyes locked, scanning the frozen earth for movement. One vole, one mistake, and the descent begins. Not explosive, not chaotic, just precise. A clean drop from the sky, like a judgment call made by the wind. Fun fact, unlike many hawks, the rough-legged hawk hovers in place mid-air to hunt, even in brutal winds. It's basically the Arctic version of a military-grade drone. So here's your mission. If this hawk had a theme in a fantasy movie, like it was flying into battle over a frozen kingdom, what would the soundtrack sound like? Describe the vibe in the comments. Bonus points for words like epic, icy, or haunting. Some birds live in one place. This one lives between worlds. The Illutian Turn is quiet, graceful, almost unreal. You'll find it skimming just above the sea near Alaska's remote coasts, a flash of silver wings against gray water and colder skies. But just when you think you've spotted one, it's gone, because this bird doesn't stay still. It migrates from the icy Aleutian Islands all the way to the tropical shores of Southeast Asia. That's over 10,000 miles, a round trip between two different planets. One world of fog, fish, and glaciers. The other, sunlight, mangroves, and monsoon winds. And it does it every year. No fanfare, no GPS, just instinct and sky. What's strange is, we still don't know that much about it. It nests in hidden coastal meadows, often in colonies so small they're missed by even the most dedicated birders. Its call? A sharp, almost questioning chirp, as if it's asking, "Are you sure you belong here?" Which is fair, because it often shows up in places where almost no one's watching. Just ocean, just wind, just the long breath between summer and silence. Fun fact, the Illutian Turn is one of the only terns in the world that migrates across the entire Pacific Ocean. That's like flying from Alaska to Indonesia, with no snacks. So here's your prompt. If you had wings and could fly to two completely different places every year, one cold, one warm, where would your route be? Drop your dream migration in the comments. Bonus points if it includes somewhere with good coffee. If most birds of Alaska whisper, this one talks loudly. Meet the Stellar's jay, a blue-black flash of feathers with a personality roughly the size of a raccoon on espresso. You'll hear it before you see it. A sharp, raspy shack, shack, echoing through the pines, like someone left a walkie-talkie in the woods and forgot to turn it off. And then, there it is, that electric blue body, that dramatic black crest, perched like royalty on a mossy branch. It looks like a bird designed by someone who got bored drawing robins and decided to go full wizard. Stellar's jays are bold. They'll land right next to your campsite, steal your trail mix, and give you a stare that says, "What? You weren't eating it." But they're also crazy smart. These birds mimic other birds, even hawks. That's right, they'll fake a hawk call just to scare everyone else off the snacks. Tactical and kind of rude, but also brilliant. They're social, clever, and totally unpredictable, like the forest version of your one chaotic friend who always shows up late but somehow saves the day. Fun fact, the Steller's jay was first discovered by a guy named Georg Wilhelm Steller during a freezing expedition in 1741. And if the bird was anything like today's version, it probably insulted him right after. So here's a question. If this bird could talk, really talk, what's the first sarcastic thing you think it would say to a human? Drop your best line in the comments. Extra points for sass. If the other birds in this list are spirits, this one is the guardian, the bald eagle. Wings wide, gaze locked, and an attitude that says, I was here before you, and I'll be here after. In Alaska, they're not rare, but they never feel common. Perched high on a dead spruce, silhouetted against a silver sky, the bald eagle doesn't need to move to command attention. It just is. That white head, stark against a dark body, looks like it was painted by the wind itself. Its eyes, sharp, focused, calculating. This bird sees everything. Salmon surfacing, movement across the ice, the first ripple of spring in a half-frozen river. And when it flies, it's not fast. It's deliberate, wide-winged arcs through open sky, like it's drawing invisible borders across the wilderness. The bald eagle isn't just a bird, it's a message, a reminder that some things, strength, grace, silence, don't need permission to exist. Fun fact, despite being the national bird of the US, bald eagles were once nearly extinct due to DDT poisoning. Now, they've made a comeback, a big one. Alaska is now home to more bald eagles than the rest of the lower 48 combined. So here's how we'll end this journey. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a glacial cliff, one bald eagle soaring past in complete silence. What thought crosses your mind in that moment? Share it in the comments. Just one line, make it honest. So there you have it, 15 spirits, not just birds, not just wildlife, but fragments of a deeper story. One written in feathers, silence, and cold wind. In Alaska, nothing is easy. The storms don't wait, the nights don't end quickly. And yet, these creatures endure. They glide, they call, they vanish, as if the ice itself gave them life, and the sky asked them to stay. Maybe that's why we're drawn to them, not because they're rare or beautiful or mythical, but because, deep down, we know what it means to face the cold and keep going. So if you made it this far, thank you. And hey, if one of these birds stayed with you, in your head, in your gut, in that quiet corner of your imagination, tell us which one and why. I read every single comment, seriously. And if you want more journeys like this, stories that drift between science and silence, consider subscribing. We've still got a lot of wild places to explore together. Until then, keep listening, keep wondering, and every now and then, look up.